There comes a moment, sometimes in the quiet, sometimes in the chaos, when life presses harder than you ever expected, when everything feels heavier, slower, more uncertain. In those moments, positivity can seem like a distant luxury, something reserved for people whose lives aren't crumbling at the edges. But what if positivity isn't a feeling you stumble into? What if it's a discipline, a strength you build when everything inside you wants to give up? The Stoics didn't promise a life without pain. They promised that pain, if faced with the right mind and heart, could become your greatest teacher. And today, that's what we explore together. Not blind optimism, not denial, but the art of staying deeply, fiercely alive when life gets hard. This is a journey into resilience, into strength, into a mindset that doesn't just survive the storm, it learns how to dance with it. Because maybe positivity isn't about pretending everything is okay. Maybe it's about believing you have the power to be okay, no matter what happens. Today, we begin that journey. 1. Tough times are part of the deal. Why do we act surprised when life gets hard? It's almost as if, deep down, we believe there's a version of life where nothing breaks, where everything we love stays, where every plan unfolds exactly as we imagined. But there is no such life. There never was. And the more we cling to that illusion, the more we suffer when reality, with all its sharp edges and sudden storms, finally breaks through. Hardships are not an accident. They are part of the architecture of existence. Every meaningful life, every person you admire, every legacy that endured, was built not in the absence of difficulty, but through it. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. Life isn't trying to break you, it's trying to build you, if you let it. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Pain, stress, adversity, they are weights in the gym of your soul. You don't build strength by avoiding resistance. You build it by facing it, breathing through it, enduring it. And just like the body grows stronger when it's challenged, the mind grows wiser when it's tested." Jim Rohn, a voice from a much later time, echoed the same truth. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. It's a radical idea, almost offensive to the part of us that craves comfort. But it's liberating too, because if you stop wishing for an easier life and start wishing for a stronger self, you take your power back. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your resilience. Every hardship you face is an invitation to sharpen something within you that would otherwise remain dull. Patience, perseverance, humility, courage, none of these virtues grow in comfort. They are forged in the fire of adversity. And if you can accept that, truly accept it, you'll find that even the hardest seasons carry hidden gifts. Think about it. The people who inspire you most are not the ones who lived easy lives. They're the ones who endured, who transformed their suffering into wisdom, who chose to keep walking when every part of them wanted to stop. And whether you realize it or not, you have that same capacity inside you, right now. Not someday when things get easier, right now, in the middle of whatever storm you're facing. So the next time life gets heavy, and it will, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this trying to build within me?" Instead of wishing the storm away, let it teach you how to anchor deeper, how to find the parts of yourself that no wind can shake. Because tough times are not the exception to life, they are the price of admission. And if you meet them with the right spirit, they don't just pass, they transform you. You don't have to like the hardships. But if you can respect them, learn from them, and grow through them, you will become someone even the toughest storms cannot break. 2. Protect the garden of your mind. Have you ever noticed how negativity sneaks in, not all at once, but little by little, like weeds taking over a garden you forgot to tend? The mind is not a fortress, it's a living, breathing space. And like any living space, it can be nurtured, shaped, and strengthened, or it can be left exposed to whatever blows in on the winds of fear, anger, and doubt. What grows inside your mind will eventually grow outside into your words, your choices, your destiny. And if you don't guard it, if you don't plant deliberately, the wild weeds of the world will gladly take over. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Whatever you allow to dominate your mind, whether hope or bitterness, faith or fear, will eventually seep into your soul, staining every part of how you live, love, and lead. That's not just poetry. That's biology. It's neurology. Your repeated thoughts shape your reality, quite literally carving pathways into your brain that make certain emotions easier to access and others harder to reach. This is why the Stoics were ruthless with their mental discipline, not because they wanted to suppress emotions or pretend life was easy, but because they understood your mind is your first, and often only, line of defense against the chaos of the world. If you lose that, you lose everything. Epictetus, another great Stoic voice, gave us a clear warning. Stand guard at the door of your mind, not once a week, not when it's convenient, always, because negativity, despair, bitterness, they don't need an invitation. They slip in through the cracks, a careless comment, a bad headline, an old wound reopened. And if you're not vigilant, if you're not tending your garden daily, you'll wake up one day wondering why everything inside you feels so heavy, so tangled, so out of control. Protecting your mind doesn't mean pretending bad things don't happen. It doesn't mean avoiding reality. It means choosing which realities you allow to take root. You can acknowledge pain without surrendering to pessimism. You can face hardship without marinating in hopelessness. You can grieve losses without abandoning gratitude. So how do you protect the garden of your mind? You practice conscious cultivation. You choose what you read, what you watch, who you listen to. You notice which voices nourish your strength and which ones drain it. You treat your attention as a sacred currency, spending it only where it grows something beautiful, something true, something aligned with the life you want to build. And when negativity does sneak in, because it will, you don't panic. You don't shame yourself. You weed it out, patiently, gently, consistently. You replace the thought of defeat with a thought of endurance, the thought of fear with a thought of courage, the thought of resentment with a thought of growth. Because this mind of yours, this delicate, powerful, chaotic, brilliant mind, it is the soil from which your entire life will bloom. Tend it wisely. 3. Build a strong personal philosophy. What do you stand on when the ground beneath you breaks? When life is calm, it's easy to believe we have strong values, clear priorities, unshakable beliefs. But calm waters don't test the ship. Storms do. And when the storms come, and they always do, you find out quickly whether your principles are deep foundations or shallow decorations. A personal philosophy isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's the internal compass that keeps you steady when the world around you spins. Without it, you're at the mercy of every opinion, every trend, every fear. You're easily swayed, easily broken, easily lost. But with it, you can walk through chaos and still know who you are. Socrates, the father of Western philosophy, warned us long ago. The unexamined life is not worth living, not because unexamined lives are evil, but because they are vulnerable. They drift with the tides. They react instead of respond. They survive, but never truly live. And building a philosophy isn't about memorizing quotes or adopting someone else's rules. It's about examining your own life, deeply, ruthlessly, lovingly. What do you believe about hardship, about success, about love, loyalty, integrity, death? Where did those beliefs come from? Do they still serve you? Or are you carrying ideas that belong to someone else, a parent, a teacher, a broken culture, long past their usefulness? Ralph Waldo Emerson gave us another powerful insight. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. This reminds us that building a philosophy doesn't mean stubbornly clinging to outdated ideas out of pride or fear. It means having the courage to refine your principles as you grow, to shed beliefs that no longer fit your experience, and to deepen those that withstand the tests of life. Your personal philosophy should be alive, evolving as you do, but rooted deeply enough that no storm can rip it out by the roots. It should answer the questions: who am I when everything I love is threatened? What do I fight for when no one is watching? What am I willing to lose to stay true to myself? Without these answers, you will be shaped by whatever is loudest around you. You'll live at the surface of your life, always reacting, always searching for something solid that you can never seem to find. But with them, you'll carry your own ground with you. You'll be able to move through triumphs without arrogance, through losses without collapse, through uncertainty without fear. So take the time to build your philosophy with intention. Read widely, reflect often, write your values down, speak them out loud, challenge them, live them, and when life tests you, when the winds howl and the earth shakes, you won't have to scramble for stability. You'll already be standing on it. 4. Master your self-talk. If the voice inside your head were broadcast to the world, would you be proud of what it says about you? Most of us are speaking to ourselves constantly, narrating our failures, questioning our worth, predicting disaster, often without even realizing it. That internal dialogue becomes the background music of our lives. And if we're not careful, it can quietly destroy our confidence, our resilience, and our ability to rise when life knocks us down. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And your first reaction to any event, big or small, always happens inside your own mind. It's the silent conversation you have with yourself before you say a word, before you take a step. If you want to master your life, you have to first master that invisible conversation. But here's the thing. Most people don't even realize how brutal their self-talk has become. They would never speak to someone they love the way they speak to themselves. Imagine telling a friend who failed at something, "You're worthless. You'll never get it right. Everyone is laughing at you. You'd never dream of it." And yet, how often do you let that voice go unchecked when it's aimed at yourself? Alan Watts offered a powerful metaphor. You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself. That's not just beautiful, it's a reminder of responsibility. You are not just an accident wandering through chaos. You are a conscious part of existence itself. How you speak to yourself is how you treat that sacred gift. Self-talk is not about lying to yourself or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing language that builds rather than destroys. It's about replacing thoughts like, "I'll never make it," with "This is hard, but I am learning." It's about catching yourself when you spiral into fear and saying, "I have faced uncertainty before, and I survived. I can do it again." It's about speaking strength, resilience, and hope into your own soul, not as empty platitudes, but as survival tools. Think about it. Every time you fall and get back up, it's not because the world got easier. It's because you told yourself a story that made it possible to rise. Maybe you said, "I'm stronger than this." Maybe you said, "This isn't how my story ends." Whatever the words, you planted seeds of endurance with them, seeds that grew into action. Mastering your self-talk requires daily attention. It's not something you fix once and forget. It's a discipline, a practice. You have to notice the voice, question it, redirect it when necessary, and most importantly, you have to be patient with yourself, because changing the way you speak internally is like learning a new language. It takes time, compassion, repetition, and the reward? It's priceless. Because when the world doubts you, when circumstances turn against you, when the storms rage, you'll have a voice inside that doesn't crumble, a voice that steadies you, a voice that says, "You've been here before, you are stronger now, keep going." That voice, not your talent, not your luck, will determine whether you stand back up or stay down. Master it. 5. Focus on what you can control. How much of your suffering comes not from what happened, but from fighting what you could never change? It's a sobering thought. We spend so much of our lives wrestling ghosts, reliving past mistakes, resenting unfair outcomes, panicking about futures we can't predict. And every ounce of energy spent there is energy stolen from where your real power lives, in your choices, in your effort, in your response right now. The Stoics taught this lesson with relentless clarity. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice the precision of his words. Not power over the storm, but power over how you stand in it. Not power over betrayal, but power over whether it hardens your heart or deepens your wisdom. And yet, how easily we forget. We become entangled in the uncontrollable, obsessing over the opinions of others, the actions of strangers, the whims of fate. We act as if worrying is a form of preparation, as if bitterness is a form of protection. But it's not. It's a slow erosion of your strength. Every minute spent trying to control what you can't is a minute you didn't spend strengthening what you can. Lao Tzu offered another angle. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. This doesn't mean passivity. It means clarity. It means seeing what is truly within your grasp and letting the rest move as it will. It means pouring your effort into your character, your actions, your discipline, not into railing against the waves. Imagine two people in a storm. One curses the rain, shakes their fist at the sky, wastes their energy on outrage. The other tightens their coat, adjusts their path, finds shelter. Same storm, different power. Because the second person understood, I can't control the weather, but I can control what I do next. You can't stop people from misunderstanding you. You can't prevent setbacks from happening. You can't erase every unfairness from the world, but you can decide what kind of person you'll be in the face of those realities. And over time, that decision, made daily, made quietly, becomes your life's true strength. The Stoics didn't advocate indifference to the world's pain. They advocated mastery over their own hearts amidst it. They didn't close their eyes to suffering. They simply refuse to let suffering make them lose themselves. So ask yourself, right now, what am I carrying that isn't mine to carry? Where am I pouring energy into what I cannot change and starving what I can? Focus is an act of liberation. When you narrow your gaze to what is truly yours, your attitude, your choices, your effort, you reclaim energy you didn't even realize you were wasting. You become lighter, stronger, sharper. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming a force within it. You may not control the waves, but you can master the ship. 6. Choose your associations wisely. Who you allow into your life is one of the most powerful decisions you'll ever make, and one of the most underestimated. We talk often about discipline in work, in health, in finances, but the discipline of choosing your companions, that's the quiet foundation behind all the others, because no matter how strong you are, the people you consistently surround yourself with will either sharpen you or slowly dull you. They will either lift your vision higher or weigh it down until you forget you ever had one. Jim Rohn captured it simply. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Not because you consciously imitate them, but because human beings are wired for emotional absorption. Without realizing it, you pick up their habits, their standards, their language, their energy. Spend your days around cynicism, gossip, and complaint, and watch how your own hope begins to shrink. Spend your days around discipline, ambition, resilience, and watch how your own fire quietly grows. Nietzsche pointed even deeper, saying, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." We often think we are choosing who affects us, but most of the real influence happens below the surface. In the small ways, we adapt to fit the environments we inhabit. We mirror without thinking. We soften or harden ourselves without even noticing. We inherit attitudes, beliefs, fears, not through lectures, but through proximity. This is why the Stoics urged extreme vigilance over the company you keep, not from arrogance, not from elitism, but from the understanding that the human soul is permeable, that we are at our core shaped by what we allow close to us. Choosing your associations wisely doesn't mean cutting everyone out who struggles or suffers. It means discerning who wants to grow and who has settled into stagnation. It means recognizing when a relationship nurtures your highest self and when it chains you to your lowest. It means loving people, yes, but also loving yourself enough to guard your space. Think of your mind and heart like a garden. You can plant the most beautiful seeds, discipline, positivity, resilience, but if you let others trample through without care, those seeds won't survive. Some people water your growth. Others, without malice or even awareness, tread it down. So take inventory. Ask yourself, who in my life pushes me to be better, not through criticism, but through their example? Who drains my energy, dims my spirit, clouds my vision? Where do I feel expanded, and where do I feel diminished? And then have the courage to adjust. Sometimes that means creating distance. Sometimes it means strengthening the ties that uplift you. Sometimes it means walking alone for a while until you find your true tribe. Remember, loyalty to others should never require betrayal of yourself. True connection inspires growth. It challenges you to rise, not to shrink. It calls out the highest in you, not the most comfortable. You become like those you stay close to. Choose wisely, because in choosing them, you are, piece by piece, choosing the future version of yourself. 7. Strengthen your daily disciplines. How often do we wait for motivation, forgetting that discipline is what builds the life we dream of? Motivation is a spark, quick, bright, fleeting. Discipline is the fire that stays lit long after the feelings fade. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. And that's precisely why it's powerful. Because when you can move forward without waiting for perfect conditions, without needing applause, without being fueled by fleeting moods, you become unstoppable. Aristotle captured it in timeless words. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Notice that. Repeatedly. Not when you feel inspired, not when everything is lined up perfectly, but every day, in small, uncelebrated, deliberate choices. You are not built by what you occasionally do with bursts of passion. You are shaped by what you consistently choose, especially when it's hard. Henry David Thoreau also saw this truth. Success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Discipline shifts your focus from the outcome to the process. It teaches you to fall in love with the work, not the reward. To commit to the action, not the applause. And ironically, it's those who stay devoted to the small daily steps who one day wake up surrounded by the results they once only dreamed about. The world tells you to look for shortcuts, to seek hacks, secrets, fast tracks. But there is no shortcut for building a strong life. There is only the path of small disciplines, stacked one upon another, carried forward with patience and grit. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't aim for grand public displays of greatness. They focused on mastering themselves in the quiet moments. A disciplined mind, a disciplined heart, a disciplined life, lived in alignment with principles, not whims. And discipline isn't just about work or success. It's about building a life you can trust yourself to live. It's about keeping promises to yourself, even when no one is watching, waking up when you said you would, finishing what you committed to, speaking truth even when it's hard, choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. Because every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you reinforce something sacred, self-respect. And every time you break one, you quietly erode it. Discipline at its core is an act of self-love, not the soft, indulgent kind, the fierce, protective kind that says, I believe my future is worth the discomfort of today. So don't wait for motivation to come knocking. Build systems, build rituals, build rhythms that carry you even when the world inside you feels chaotic. Set a schedule that honors your priorities, not your moods. Protect your focus the way you would protect a precious flame. Because in the end, your life won't be shaped by what you hoped for or what you meant to do. It will be shaped by what you consistently chose, day after day, when no one was applauding, when no one was watching, when it was just you, your will, and the quiet strength you decided to cultivate. Strengthen your daily disciplines, and you'll strengthen everything else. 8. Turn pain into purpose. What if the very thing you wish had never happened holds the key to who you are meant to become? Pain is inevitable. No matter how carefully you plan, how wisely you live, how purely you love, life will find ways to break your heart. Loss, betrayal, failure, regret, they are woven into the human experience. But suffering alone is not what shapes you. It's what you do with the suffering that defines the arc of your life. Friedrich Nietzsche faced this truth head-on. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. He understood that pain without meaning becomes poison, bitterness, despair, resentment. But pain with meaning becomes fuel. It deepens you. It refines you. It forges within you a strength that comfort could never provide. The temptation is always to numb it, to run from it, to busy yourself so completely that you never have to sit in the silence of what hurt you. But healing, real healing, demands more courage than escape. It demands that you walk into the fire not to be consumed, but to be transformed. Alan Watts captured the paradox beautifully. Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. Life isn't personal. It isn't punishing you. It's simply unfolding, wild, and unpredictable. The meaning we find in our suffering is the meaning we give it, and that act of meaning-making is the ultimate act of power. Think about the people you admire most, the ones whose presence feels grounded, wise, unshakable. Look closer, and you'll often find a deep river of pain beneath their calm surface, not because life was easy for them, but because they learned how to turn their pain into purpose. They didn't let suffering close them. They let it open them. Turning pain into purpose doesn't mean sugarcoating it. It doesn't mean pretending that what hurt you was good. It means refusing to let it be wasted. It means asking, what can I learn from this? How can this deepen my empathy, sharpen my wisdom, strengthen my resolve? How can I use this to serve, to build, to love more fiercely? Maybe your heartbreak becomes the compassion that saves someone else's life. Maybe your failure becomes the wisdom that leads others through theirs. Maybe your loss becomes the anchor that keeps you steady when storms come again. Pain is not the end of your story unless you let it be. It can be a chapter of despair or the beginning of a new narrative, one that is richer, deeper, more meaningful because of what you endured. You didn't choose every wound, but you do choose what kind of scar it leaves behind. A scar of bitterness, or a scar that tells a story of growth. Turn your pain into purpose, not because it's easy, not because it erases the hurt, but because it transforms you into someone even the pain could not destroy. 9. Feed your spirit, not just your mind. How much of your growth is measured by what you know, and how little by how deeply you feel alive? We live in an age where knowledge is abundant, information is everywhere, articles, podcasts, courses, endless streams of ideas flooding your mind at every moment. And yet, despite knowing more than ever, many people feel emptier than ever. Restless, anxious, disconnected. Why? Because a mind filled with facts without a spirit, nourished by meaning, is a mind that knows the path but has forgotten how to walk it. Seneca offered us a timeless reminder. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. Not think about living, not plan to live later when circumstances are better, but to live now, fully, consciously. And living fully isn't about intellectual achievement. It's about waking up your spirit, the part of you that feels wonder, gratitude, reverence for the simple fact of existence. Alan Watts echoed the same truth. Life exists only at this very moment. Not in your future goals, not in your past regrets, right now. And if you miss it, if you spend all your energy feeding your mind while starving your soul, no amount of success will ever fill the hollow ache you carry inside. Feeding your spirit means creating space for the non-utilitarian parts of yourself. It means nurturing awe, not just analysis, gratitude, not just ambition, beauty, not just efficiency, silence, not just strategy. It means letting yourself feel small under a starry sky and big in the moments you show kindness when no one is watching. It's not about abandoning growth or ambition. It's about anchoring them in something deeper. Achievement without spirit becomes hollow. performative, fragile. You get the degree, the title, the house, and wonder why you still feel restless, why the celebration fades so fast, why you quietly feel like a stranger in your own life. You don't need to retreat to a monastery to feed your spirit. You just need to make room for it. A few minutes of true stillness, a genuine conversation that touches something real, a walk where you notice the light on the leaves, the breath in your chest, the life moving around you in quiet orchestration. Ask yourself, when was the last time I did something not because it was productive, but because it made me feel alive? When was the last time I paused, not to analyze, but to appreciate? Knowledge sharpens your mind, but meaning fortifies your heart. And when the storms of life come, as they always do, it's not the facts you memorize that will hold you together. It's the spirit you nurtured, the quiet knowing that even amidst pain, uncertainty and loss, life is still astonishingly, achingly beautiful. So feed your mind, yes, but feed your spirit even more. Because in the end, it's not what you knew that will matter most. It's how deeply you lived. 10. Keep one eye on the horizon. How easy it is to get lost in the storms of the moment, to believe that today's pain, confusion or chaos is all there will ever be. When we're hurting, time seems to slow down. Every setback feels permanent. Every difficulty feels endless. It's hard to imagine a future when you're drowning in the present, but this is where wisdom, true, lived wisdom, demands that we lift our eyes, that we remember, no storm lasts forever, no wound defines the whole story, no failure has the final word unless you let it. Marcus Aurelius reminds us with piercing clarity, do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Focus not on the gossip, the noise, the endless distractions of who did what, who failed where, who said, what about you? Lift your vision higher. Keep one eye, always, on the greater journey you are building. When life closes in, when the day feels heavy and full of unanswered questions, it's tempting to fixate only on survival. But survival is not enough. You are here to build something, to create a story that, when looked back upon, will make you proud that you kept going when you had every reason to quit. Socrates gave us a vital compass. Strong minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, weak minds discuss people. When you keep your mind filled with vision, with principles, with dreams larger than your circumstances, you become bigger than the setbacks that try to shrink you. Think of it like sailing. When the waves are rough and the wind is wild, the sailor doesn't focus on each crashing wave. They keep their gaze fixed on the stars. They adjust their sails. They adapt their course. But their ultimate orientation remains unchanged. That's what your horizon is, the distant point that reminds you who you are, why you began, and where you are heading, even when the world around you seems determined to make you forget. Keeping one eye on the horizon doesn't mean ignoring your pain. It means refusing to drown in it. It means letting today's hardship be a page, not the entire story. It means trusting that beyond what you can currently see, there are new chapters waiting, chapters that need the strength you're building right now through every moment of perseverance. You don't have to have all the answers today. You don't have to see the entire map. You just have to take the next step, with one eye on the work of today, and one eye on the vision that carries you forward. No storm is stronger than a mind anchored in purpose. No setback is final to a soul that remembers its destination. So breathe, adjust your sails, endure the winds, and above all, never forget, the horizon is still there, even when you can't see it clearly yet. There are seasons in life when the darkness feels closer than the light, when the weight of uncertainty, loss, or failure feels almost too much to bear. And it's in those seasons, not the easy ones, that your true foundation is revealed. Staying positive when life gets tough isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about holding on to something deeper than circumstances, a set of principles, a way of seeing, a quiet, unbreakable strength that doesn't depend on what the world throws at you. It's about remembering that tough times are part of the deal, that your mind is a garden worth protecting, that your philosophy, your self-talk, your focus, and your associations, these are not luxuries, they are your lifelines. It's about building daily disciplines when motivation fades, turning your pain into a purpose that outlives the pain itself. It's about feeding the part of you that isn't just surviving, but still dares to believe in beauty, gratitude, hope. And it's about never losing sight of the horizon, even when the skies are grey. Stoicism doesn't promise a life free of hardship. It promises a life where hardship doesn't get the final word, where even in the face of adversity, you can still say, I chose how to meet this moment. I chose strength over despair. I chose to live by my values, not my fears. And maybe that's the real definition of positivity, not blind happiness, not forced smiles, but a quiet, steady decision to keep walking with dignity, with clarity, with a heart still open to the possibility that something beautiful is still waiting ahead. If today's words stirred something inside you, a memory, a challenge, a hope you had almost forgotten, I invite you to take that feeling with you. Hold it. Nourish it. Let it guide your next small choice and the one after that. And if this episode resonated with you, if it gave you something you needed today, I invite you to subscribe, share it with someone you believe would be touched by it, and keep walking this path of inner strength with us. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more souls who know how to endure the storm and still keep one eye firmly on the horizon.